you've raised very important queries. Yeah. So number one, you realize in the past, say 12 months, or maybe 8 months, we've had a lot of engagements with IMF and World Bank. And several disbursements have already come through, and we're even looking at a trillion shilling disbursement, which will be done in phases. That's number one. Number two, we've also been engaging other parties. So like, interestingly, we're getting a facility from India. And the latest report is that we're going to get a $1 billion facility from China. These are reports which came in yesterday. And the discussion or the conversation is, even if you look at international references, is that the idea is that the facility you're getting from China, part of it will be used to settle the Eurobond. Now, why am I mentioning all this? Yes. The first credit, as I mentioned, IMF and World Bank. Yes. Ordinarily, they will always say, for us to give you money, you have to implement austerity measures. Number one, you have to cut your government costs. And number two, entities which the government is running and seem not to be making money, you either have them merged or you privatize. So that conversation emanated from there. Yes. And it's a conversation which has been there for quite some time. Yes. Now, you've mentioned something very important, which of late has raised queries, the consolidated fund, how those funds are being used. Yes. In fact, we have the control of budget at loggerheads. At loggerheads with the government. Exactly how she used the consolidated because she raised, of course, as far as this discussion is concerned, it seemed that some of the queries she raised may have elicited some form of reaction. So if you look at all these debts that we're getting, we are simply putting the country in a very, very precarious situation, simply because we've mentioned the 10 trillion shilling position which we are in. So we're trying to look at where will we be in the next 2-3 years. Yes. What implications will that have on us in terms of obligations? Because already our taxes are very high. Because you remember, one of the tenets or one of the measures which IMF and World Bank will always engage you, apart from what I've talked about in terms of austerity, is how much can you collect? Because it's essentially appraisers like what you would be appraised when you go to a bank and you want to get a facility. They will be like, okay, show me your pay slip. How much are you earning? So how much can we advance? So it's the same. It's only that it's now on a massive scale. It's like, so for Kenya, show me your spending. Where are you spending your cash? You're spending your cash on ABCD. So you need to cut here and you need to do ABCD. Now, unfortunately, we're talking about austerity, we're talking about cutting costs, but it's not happening. We are borrowing, but you're not cutting our costs. Because any time you have a situation whereby, like the latest supplementary budget, we saw some areas actually getting more allocations and actually spending more. Like Office of the President, State House. So you wonder, how are you going to implement austerity so that, you see, the gist of it from an economic scale is, if you implement austerity and then you get a financial backing from an international lender, it simply means you will suffer in the short term, but in the long run, you will regularize your position. But unfortunately for us, we're borrowing more, and we simply can't properly justify how we are spending.
I'll be coming back to you on that, on our debt levels, on exactly where they are.